Welcome to the Feature Film Podcast, guys.
Hi.
Hi. This is news and news.
This is totally news and news with two guys here, but it's also including you.
It's you.
This is really exciting.
Welcome. I'm so glad you're here.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you're here.
Yeah.
Let's talk about movies and stuff,
Yeah.
shall we?
Should we splice in? So there's some stuff to talk about. First off, I got to say, I never realized how much I look like a sports commentator with this thing on. Like, I really do. And that's I'm afraid that's a video-only thing. Is this part of the audio stream? Or do we introduce the audio stream right now?
Sorry. What do you mean?
How are we doing this? Have we already started? Okay. Is this going in the podcast? That's my question.
Sure.
Okay.
Why
all right.
not?
Well, okay.
Let's do some explaining.
Okay.
So, podcast listeners, audio only people, just so you know, we are currently live streaming on YouTube. So by the time our audio people are hearing this, it's been a month of like real world time. Because we're recording this on February 24th. We're live streaming this on February 24th to our YouTube audience as a first time little test thing to see if this does well.
Yep.
And so if you're hearing this audio only, you've missed out. I hope you have FOMO now. I'm kidding. I don't really hope that. But, yeah, we're doing a new thing. We're trying this out.
Yeah.
And, yeah. So, welcome to the Feature Film Podcast. This is News. I'm Kyler.
I'm Alex.
This is Alex. And, well, let's just jump into it. What news articles do we have today?
My goodness. I got stuff to talk about.
You go first then.
Okay. All right. So, two things. Which one do I talk about first? I think... yes. I know what one to talk about. So, about 10 days ago, they announced the casting for the new Fantastic Four movie.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Some of these names you know.
Tell me the names.
Well, we have... Let's see here. Is Mr. Fantastic Pedro Pascal.
That's wonderful.
Isn't that cool?
If it's not John Krasinski, it should be Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, I like that Pedro Pascal. We have these other people I am not as familiar with. So we have Vanessa Kirby.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know her.
Who is she?
She was in the last few Mission Impossible movies. She played the White Widow, I believe, was her name, her code name. Kind of like a power broker character.
Okay.
And then she was also in Napoleon.
Okay.
She was also in the Hobbs and Shaw movie, the spin-off of Fast and Furious, playing Shaw's sister.
Shoster.
Shoster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she's done a lot,
Okay.
which is really exciting. Is she playing the Invisible Woman?
Let me see here. I think the fact that there are 4 attached right here tells me those are the 4 right there.
All right.
I know
Well,
the
that's
4th
cool.
one is Ben Grimm, a.k.a. The Thing.
Okay.
So the next one then would be Joseph Quinn.
I don't know this actor.
So this guy was in, let's see here, he had a role in Stranger Things of season 4.
Okay.
Yep. I'm not as familiar with who this guy is. Oh, hang on. You've been going through Game of Thrones.
Yeah, he looks familiar.
Yeah, he has the role of a character named Koner, a Stark soldier.
Oh.
Okay.
I don't know.
It's
There are a lot of men that look like him on that show.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, mustaches, kind of thin beards right here.
Yep.
Short hair, kind of curly on top.
Kind of looks like, vaguely like,
Jon Snow.
yeah.
Yeah.
Kit Harington? Is
Yes.
that the fellow's name?
Kit Harington.
And then we have, this one's kind of an interesting pick. I like his first name, Ibn Mas Bakrak. So I'm
not know
hoping
this
I'm
person.
saying his name right. But this guy is, he's in Andor.
Okay.
But what is notable about him You know what? I'm not even going to draw attention to that fact. I'm just going to leave that fact there and let other people talk about it.
Very good.
But who does he play in Andor? Who is that guy?
I still have not watched Andor.
Oh, yeah.
That show, everyone says it's the best Star Wars show they've ever done, and you can't. I've watched 3 episodes, and still nothing's happened.
Okay.
Blows my mind how someone can make 3 episodes of a show and have 0 things occur.
I think that's an oversimplification.
Sure it is, but
I will grant you, it's a slow burn.
It's a slow burn.
It's very much a slow burn. It's very, I think the best part about it is that it does not feel like other Star Wars.
Absolutely, and I think that's what made Rogue One successful, because it was such a departure from lightsabers and good and evil, and it was very much espionage, and I'm going to kill you, and you might kill me, and we're all, so it was very, that's what made Rogue One successful.
Mm-hmm.
But man, 3 hours of this show is rough when minimal action happens.
Mm-hmm.
Minimal things happen.
Yeah. It really is more of a, even more of like a spy and crime series than it is a high adventure.
Sure. Yeah.
Very much is, because so much of it's about what could happen.
Yes.
Will you be spotted? Will you be found out? That sort of thing.
I think, again, Rogue One did that really well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Rogue One needs to stay that way and just be Rogue One, and Andor doesn't need to be Andor anymore.
Ooh.
I think that can go away.
That take
if I watch if I watch all of season 1 and I come away with a changed man, I'll do something on the live stream. I'll wear a tutu or something. I'll humiliate myself for being wrong.
You can.
Yeah, I'm
saying, I'm not asking you to.
No, I know. I'm just saying. I feel like that if I'm wrong, there should be a punishment of some kind. So, if I'm wrong about Andor, if I come back, here, I'll make this commitment to all you and to you. I will watch Andor. I will finish the I think season 1 is the only one out right now. I will finish. I feel like I'm yelling in this microphone. I need to turn this down a tiny bit. I will watch season 1 of Andor, and if I come back here and actually think that it was an amazing show, I'll wear a tutu, or I'll do something wacky just to show I was wrong.
Okay.
Just for fun. So, whoever's watching, if you got ideas of what I should do, let me know.
I hope you like it.
You know what? I hope I like it.
Yeah.
I've got a couple things going for me for the show that have always interested me about it. Like, I saw, back when the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi came out, I went and saw it in theaters and got to see a preview of Andor.
Mm-hmm.
And it looked amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I got to see 10 or 15 minutes of the show before it ever aired, and it was so cool looking. And then I started watching the show, and I'm just sitting here like, what is going on? Where's all the cool stuff?
Yeah.
But also, Andy Serkis is in this show.
Mm-hmm.
I love Andy Serkis. I will watch it for him.
Yeah.
He's like one of the main reasons I ever wanted to watch the show anyway, was just because I knew he was in it. But it's getting really hard to get there. Real hard to get there.
How many episodes is it? Because it's more than the standard Marvel 6.
Yeah, it's like 12 or something.
Yeah, I think...
it's a long show.
Let me see. Oh, shoot. He's in Gladiator 2. And A Quiet Place Day 1.
Joseph Quinn is?
Yeah, sorry, I moved back. I think I didn't realize what tab I was on right there. Joseph Quinn is in Overlord. Did you ever see that movie?
I wanted to, but I never did.
I kind of want to watch that movie.
We should watch that movie.
It'd be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, it said also there was a Les Miserables miniseries in 2018. Did you ever hear about that?
No. I didn't know that.
I kind of feel like something tickles my brain saying that maybe that occurred, but I never saw it.
Do you know that they're re-releasing Les Miserables, the movie, in IMAX or Dolby?
Did not know that.
Remastered, so like the sound is totally different. Like that's what they're doing soon.
Did not know that.
By the time listeners hear this, that will probably have passed. As of recording, that's happening soon.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, So this Ben character,
Oh yeah,
he was in Andor. We really trailed.
yeah. So really, we kind of went off in a different direction. Eben Moss Bakrak or Bakrak. Yeah, he is. He has the role of Arvil Skeen, and I'm kind of looking at his face, and I think I know exactly who this character is.
Okay.
And he's pretty good in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'll have to check it out.
Okay. I can't commit to rewatching it, but
That's fine.
it would help if we're going to talk about it. I got to see that series
Just do a
again.
recap. You
'Cause
can
it
watch
really
the recap
is
at the front of every
probably-
episode.
What's what?
You could watch the recap at the front of every episode
Yeah.
and just be like, "Yep, got the show."
Got the
We're
show.
good.
I'm hopeful you really like this. I really do. I think it is. This is not saying very much, but I do think it is the best Star Wars since Disney took over.
Everyone says that.
Yeah.
And I mean, Rogue One was the same.
The problem with Rogue One is just kind of like slavishly nostalgic. Like, oh yeah, here's 3PO and R2. It's like, nope, you didn't matter for the story. Here's these aliens from the original movie. You remember them? He gets his hand chopped off later.
You watched that whole movie, and those are the things you got stuck on. That's funny.
It's a- no,
You know what? I
it-
would do totally the same thing about other movies.
It is a cool movie.
Absolutely.
It's very cool.
Yes.
I think I'm also just I'm hung up on the CGI, which I think they kind of overextended themselves on with Tarkin's face.
Yeah.
That
And Leia's face.
You know, people don't like Leia's face as much as I did. And I think that's because it's just so brief. I'm able to forgive it. It's like it's just a shot, and you're like, boom, and we're over.
When I watched the movie, I was thrilled with both how they recreated Tarkin and Leia.
Mm-hmm.
Just movie, like when I was in the theater watching the movie, I was thrilled with how it turned out. And then only upon reflection later was like,
Yeah.
maybe, you know. But I don't know. When it came with what I loved about the 3PO and R2 moment was you finally kind of got to see him right before episode 4 happened. I thought that was really cool how you got to see him the mere moments before episode 4 began. I don't know. I liked the little callbacks like that. 3PO and R2, and then the alien and his buddy who were wanted on 12 systems, and I thought those were cute. But I don't know. That movie expanded on the lore of Star Wars in a way that I thought was incredibly cool, especially with the not Baze, Chirrut,
Chirrut,
the blind
Imwe,
monk.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chirrut. Gosh, what an amazingly cool character that we don't get it. He was more. We've talked about this before. Balin in Ahsoka was more like a true Jedi than many of the Jedi. You know, he had a better understanding of the Force, of why, how the Force interacted with people, what the will of the Force was, and granted, he chose to ignore it, for his own gain, but nevertheless, his character was much more monastic in a manner, much like Qui-Gon was. They both had a better understanding of the spirit of what they believed in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Chirrut had that same thing about him, that same kind of understanding of the Force and what it truly meant, and not, I'm a Force user, I win politics, that kind of situation. So, we've gone off on a tangent again, but
it's hard not to talk about Star Wars.
I know. But I do love Rogue One. I'm sure Andor is fantastic. Everyone says it is, but committing yourself to 3 episodes before anything gets really interesting, that's a hard sell. And you know why? I think they released all 3 of the first episodes together so that people would watch them and get them out of the way so that they could get on with the 4th episode, because they knew these first 3 are real slow. If we release these one at a time, I don't know if anyone's going to watch them.
Yeah. Those first 3 are about the length of a movie.
Huh.
Yeah.
All 3 together are
Yep.
the length of a movie? Okay.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
about the length of the movie. And I'm wondering if Jenna and I watched them all together at once. We might have. But anyway.
Me and Liz, we were at her parents' house like for a weekend or something, and when we chose to watch Andor, the Lord of the Rings show had just come out. So we watched one episode of Andor, and then we watched one episode of Lord of the Rings. And out of the 2 of them, Lord of the Rings was way more interesting.
Yeah, I think we feel pretty much the exact opposite on both shows.
Yeah, I've encountered a lot of people who didn't like the Lord of the Rings show. I loved every second of it. I thought it was great. Let's talk about the Fantastic Four movie that we've trailed off from so many times.
I don't think we know a whole lot about it other than there's casting. There is also does it say the release date? Yep, scheduled to be released July 2025.
Okay.
Yeah.
A little more than a year away.
Mm-hmm.
It's all right.
I gotta say, as I age, these things do not feel far away. If I was 11, it'd feel like...
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But
it's coming out in 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then now I'm near 27, and I'm thinking, man, 3 years I'll be 30.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't feel like that long. Anyway.
Yeah.
I understand what you mean.
Yep. So that's that. I think I'm also seeing something about... I'll just be frank. I saw this casting announcement. I've not looked too much more into the movie.
That's okay.
I'm hearing something about it's supposed to be set in the past.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. But I didn't research that.
That's
so
all
I'm
right.
just going to leave that statement
Yeah,
there.
absolutely.
Let other people pick it up. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, that's that. Moving on to my next news story.
What is it?
Okay. All right. It's about Joker.
Please tell me more about this movie.
Abdu.
So you just watched this movie for the first time recently.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
The first movie you watched recently.
That is correct, yeah. So, I have seen... Is that a 2019 movie?
2019. It's like December 2019.
Okay.
It made the final cut before everything stopped for a year.
So, sometimes I like thinking about people. No. Well, I do. Sometimes I like thinking about movies as people.
Okay.
And if this person... I'm having trouble with my words. If this movie was a person, what would it be like in its development right now? It's at the point where it's definitely told off its parents a few times.
Yeah.
But it has no real mental grasp over really what it's saying.
Right.
And that's kind of whenever I entered in.
Okay.
And you were there on the birthday.
Yeah.
Were you on the birthday?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think maybe a day after, maybe a week after the
Sure.
birthday, I came and visited the hospital.
I mean, so it's as if it was your cousin gave birth.
yeah, absolutely.
But not...
Wasn't my child.
Yeah, it's... Yeah. Yeah.
Was I aware that there was a birth impending? Yes.
Yeah.
Was I looking forward
I
to it?
guess it's
Yes.
different, like if... yeah. Yeah, I'm just going to leave that. Cool. So, that's kind of a labored metaphor.
Sure.
Cool.
Labored metaphor. Very funny.
It took me a little while to get to it, and I think in large part it's like, is Netflix going to release it? I was also a little concerned about some of the, I guess, very brief saucy imagery that Arthur deals with. Yeah.
Sure. I forgot about that. Yeah.
It was relatively skippable or look-awayable. So
It was incredibly brief.
Yep. Yeah.
For a rated R movie, minimal.
Yeah.
You know.
So being able to get through that on Netflix, that was really cool. Really enjoyed that movie.
Yeah.
What this news is about is the budget of the second movie.
Tell me just a tiny bit about the second movie. I don't know if all of our viewers or listeners know about kind of the general premise
Cool.
of this second movie.
I mean, we know you have Harley Quinn in it.
Yes.
It's played by Lady Gaga. Is that how you pronounce her name? Gaga.
It's Gaga.
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 Gaga. Lady Gaga.
Gaga.
Got it. And so she's playing Harley Quinn,
Yes.
not Margot Robbie.
No.
Okay. Some people are kind of freaking out, like, should she be doing this? But she's done acting before.
Yeah.
Did you watch A Star Was Born?
I did not, but I watched House of Gucci.
House of Gucci?
Gucci.
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 Gucci. Yeah. No, Gucci.
I am less concerned with the choice of actress they're going to play Harley Quinn. More of it's a musical and the budget.
Yeah.
So there's a way in which something does massively well, like the first movie, which I think made over $1 billion.
I wouldn't be surprised.
And it has a budget of, goodness, somewhere between 40 and 50 million on the first one. The second one has a $200 million budget.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, Todd Phillips has proven that he can tell a Joker story.
Absolutely.
So he's able to secure funding.
Sure.
And so I'm not saying it's going to be bad, but I'm saying that constraints sometimes make us think harder.
Oh, absolutely. What is it? Necessity is the mother of invention?
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I will say, though, 40 or 50 million is nothing to, snub your nose at.
That's true.
It's still...
He had plenty of latitude at that point.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know about this. Whenever he came up with the idea of Joker, he's told the story that he tried to kind of sell DC on a new brand of movie, where it was almost a new section of DC comic movies, where it was going to be called DC Black, and it was just these real hardcore, real dark versions of like DC characters. So like Joker being the first, he tried to sell them on like making more about other Batman villains that were just heavier movies. Which, I mean, they didn't go for. But obviously, they allowed him to do Joker, and it did well enough to secure a second movie. So, 50 million, nothing to snub your nose at. 200 million, it's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
I wonder how much of that is actually going to the actors. Do you have the breakdown of this?
I may have the breakdown on
Let's
that
see
one.
if we got a
Let me see
breakdown.
here.
While he's looking that up, listeners and viewers on the on YouTube, if you have questions, please feel free to drop them in our chat, and we will see what we can get to. Got someone dropping some stuff in the chat.
He has ideas.
Looks like Thomas Does Dumb Things says, "Oh, I have ideas." Is that in regards to the humiliation that I agreed to earlier? If I like Andor, that'd be fun. If you have comments, throw them in the chat. We'll see what we can. We'll see if we can answer them.
Financial breakdown.
Yeah.
20 million is going to Joaquin Phoenix.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So a tenth of it. And then Lady Gaga,
Yes.
12 million.
Okay. So that's like
That's a pretty decent paycheck right
yeah.
there.
That's
So the majority is going to go
15%.
towards building sets,
mm-hmm.
probably say insurance costs,
Sure.
all sorts of things. I think also, and this is why I'm saying I'm skeptical. I'm not cynical about it, but skeptical of how are you going to do this as a musical? Because I've seen musicals do bittersweet.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen them do a celebratory thing, something that's funny, maybe romantic. But how twisted can you really get? There's always this like element of whimsy attached to a musical.
Sure.
So it seems like it kind of lightens it.
Okay.
I'm curious, but I'm a little skeptical. We'll see.
Can I give my thoughts on this?
Please go ahead.
I cannot wait for this movie. And I am so, when I heard that it was a musical, I was very initial, like the first thought I had was, that seems weird. And then I thought about it farther, and I was like, this seems like the perfect thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and I'll give you, here are the reasons. One, sequels generally suck because they're trying to do just as well as the first one, delivering something similar to the first one, but different enough to be a new movie.
It's like, hey, we made it bigger. It's like, yeah.
It's Ocean's 11 versus Ocean's 12. In Ocean's 11, they were in Las Vegas. In Ocean's 12, they went to Europe.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they had, instead of stealing from a bank, they had to steal from they had to steal an egg or something in the second Ocean's movie. Some kind of.
Oh, I thought they did steal from a bank in the Ocean 12. Or is that 13?
That's 13.
I've only seen Ocean 12.
It was another casino for 13.
Okay,
So,
gotcha.
but all that to say, like, different enough to be interesting, still in the same vein, but like not as good as the first one.
Mm-hmm.
On another note, I'm gonna put a little pin in the Ocean's movie because I actually want to come back to that as another thought in a minute. But typically, you know, sequels just kind of suck. They're never as good as the first, and it's because they're always trying to recapture the magic of the first while trying to tell a different story, and it just doesn't work.
Right.
What Todd Phillips is doing, he's saying, no, we're not going to remake the first one. We're going to do something
Yes.
all the way different.
Yeah.
We are full sending this Hail Mary down the field. We're making this a musical. We're bringing in another key character, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
This is perfect. I'm so glad Harley Quinn is going to be in this movie. Todd Phillips has also previously talked about Arthur, the character that is Joker. Todd Phillips has talked about him as having music in him. That's why there's that big famous dance scene after he kills the guy, his first victim in the first movie. He runs away freaking out, and then he finds a bathroom, shuts the door. Initially, and Todd Phillips has said this on camera somewhere, and I watched the video, and this is how I know this. Initially the script was Arthur was going to hide the gun in the bathroom, tear off a vent in the wall, throw the gun in there, lock it, or screw it back on, or whatever, and hide the gun. And then when they got to the shoot day, it just didn't feel right for the movie, and so they just kind of talked about it a little bit and decided, no, he's not going to hide the gun, he's going to dance.
Mm.
And so Arthur has music in him. So I don't know if this movie is going to be some major like trip that he's having in like it's all in his brain, this musical that's occurring. I don't know if I don't know how they're going to present it, but I think it's the perfect way to go about a sequel that has two. In any other context, if they weren't supervillains, these would be whimsical characters.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you've got Lady Gaga, who does have a musical background, a performance background, so I think she's going to excel at Harley Quinn.
Yes.
And even Margot Robbie has said, like, she's always wanted the character to be able to be picked up like Batman. You know, it's always a big deal when a new Batman movie comes out because there's a new Batman actor.
Yes.
And that's an incredible, like, that's a responsibility. Like, you can't just be Robert Downey Jr. from the 90s and get Batman. You know, you can't be doing drugs and be partying all the time and being arrested.
There is a way. Well, I'm going to say something without saying too much.
Sure.
There's a way in which people look to certain film roles almost as if the way they look towards certain people being elected for president. People who have zero interest in politics will harass you for having a different Batman.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, all of that to say, I think this movie's going to do great.
Yeah.
I think Todd Phillips has enough understanding of his Joker that he's going to direct this or put it in a direction that's going to fly instead of fall. So I'm incredibly excited. I can't wait. I hope the $200 million will do well for him. I
hope so too. I really do.
Absolutely. I hope it doesn't flop.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm optimistic. I'm skeptical, but that's just because it's new.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm
Sure.
yeah, I'm not going to say it can't be done.
I think people were just as skeptical about a new Dune movie before Dune came out.
People are just as skeptical about Robert Pattinson as Batman.
Oh, he crushed
Oh,
it.
he did.
Goodness gracious.
Yes.
Oh, you know what? Here's another thing concerning like Joker and Batman. What is it? Robert Pattinson now? Pattinson?
I'm not as connected as you. These are new to me. That's kind of funny.
There was Batfleck, whenever
Batfleck, I know, yeah.
Ben Affleck was there,
Yeah.
but Robert Pattinson and Joaquin, I love that James Gunn, whenever he took over DC, said, "No, we're not touching those. We're going to reboot everything else, but those are fine."
Yeah, that stays.
And he was just like, "No, they're doing great. Those are Elseworlds."
Yeah.
And I think it's real. It's just so funny to me that like DC, at the same time that they were releasing the Snyder Cut of Justice League, they had just previously released Joker under the same brand, and everything. I just think it's so funny that they released two completely tonally different movies, and they, as a company, were trying to build an extended universe, but they didn't see the benefit in having Joker or the Batman. Those are so much darker and heavier movies than the Justice League was. Now, Justice League, the Snyder Cut of Justice League, in my opinion, was fantastic. But
how long is that thing?
oh, it's 4 hours.
4 hours. Oof.
I sat there and watched 4 hours of the Snyder Cut of Justice League, and let me tell you, it was fantastic. It was so much better than the original version, the Joss Whedon cut of it. It just made so much more sense. Zack Snyder's a great storyteller, but people just don't give him enough time to tell a story. Anyway, so sorry for going on a tangent about this, like going all over the place about this, but I am incredibly excited for Joker 2. I think it's going to do fantastic. More movies. DC needs to make more movies in this vein because these movies are excelling. Joker, the Batman, these darker versions of these characters are so much better than what has been previously put out.
Yeah.
And now I'm also looking very much forward to what James Gunn is going to do with all his new movies and his new DC universe. But these are fantastic.
Yeah. One last thing I will say on the nature of musicals, because Thomas Does Dumb Things has brought up a good point. He says that there are some dark musicals. Little Shop of Horrors is one of the bigger ones.
I've never watched that movie.
So there's a movie, and there's, of course, like the stage musical behind it.
Yeah.
So the movie itself is, it's serviceable.
Sure.
The stage musical has a different ending, which is really, really cool. And it's too bad they did not use it for the movie. So yeah, it is absolutely a darker musical, but even in that one, my point is there is a degree of whimsy, of which doesn't seem to fit, at least with what we saw in the first Joker movie.
Sure.
It's just so sad, and I don't know if this is the right part of speech, but it's cringe. So much of it's just kind of you're trying to kind of disappear because it's so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I've never experienced that in a musical. Little Shop of Horrors is like black comedy, is what it is. It's like ironic as people are dying, but it's always funny in some way, unless you hate that sort of thing.
Sure.
It's definitely not funny.
Sure. I think that there's going to be enough. The Joker character has enough versatility. Like let's talk about the jokes from The Dark Knight that the Joker made.
Yep.
Whenever he's in the 18-wheeler and the 18-wheeler has a sign that says "Laughter is the best medicine," he put an S at the front of it. "Slaughter is the best medicine." No one in that movie laughs at any of his jokes, and I laugh at every single one of them.
Are you talking about The Dark Knight or Joker?
The Dark Knight.
I remember people in the theater laughing at his jokes.
No, sorry. I mean, will you do me a favor?
What's that?
My computer needs to be plugged in.
Okay.
Will you plug this in? Sorry, viewers, we're having a little technical issue. I'll continue talking.
Sure.
So there you go, sir. And there's a power strip back that direction. Alex is gonna have to walk in front of the camera, everybody. But yeah, you can use that one. I think the Joker character has enough versatility. Sorry, let me get back to what I was saying about the Dark Knight. In the Dark Knight movie, the physical movie, like the characters in the movie, no one laughs at Joker's jokes.
Oh, okay, the characters.
The characters don't laugh.
Yep.
Every joke he makes in that movie is hilarious. It is so funny, and no one in the movie laughs at him. But I laugh every time, even though the humor is so incredibly dark. I just think that for a dark musical with the Joker, I think that there's going to be enough versatility within the character to make it a dark musical, to be in that same vein of the jokes are funny, but it's dark. And also, like, whenever I think of a musical, I think of either White Christmas or Singing in the Rain. Those are pretty quintessential musicals, I think. And I think that they are whimsical, and they are like comedies, you know? So I mean, they're meant to be funny.
Absolutely.
I think that this movie is going to have an incredibly dark tone. I think it's going to be dark humor, and I think there are going to be moments that the humor comes through the music, but I think it's going to just all make sense. I don't think there's going to be a moment where I'm going to sit there and be like, that doesn't make sense for the Joker.
Yeah.
Everything he does is dark enough and or funny enough that it makes sense for his character. And
I think listening to our previous episodes we recorded about the Joker, you appreciated some of the humor that he used in the movie more than I did.
Mm-hmm.
I think you probably did.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was just like uncomfortable with myself.
Sure.
And
I think that's also probably the goal.
Oh yeah. It was so well done. How I hate using this word. It feels cringe.
Sure.
But that was the goal. So that's all I got on that. So
okay.
I'm cautiously optimistic, we'll say.
I'm incredibly optimistic.
Great.
I can't wait for this movie.
Okay. My third article.
Yes.
And this is the part that maybe we will leave within. Well, there's no sense in. We can't edit this out of a stream. It's either there or not.
All right.
But we'll edit this out of the podcast. This is going to be released on April 1st.
Yes.
This audio.
The audio will.
So, if you're watching right now, what I'm about to say is an utter fabrication. So consider the fact that you're watching. That's just part of your privilege. So.
Yeah, you get a little peek behind the scenes.
All right. So the new Jedi Order movie.
Yeah.
Starring Daisy Ridley.
Yes.
Which it's not even called the new Jedi Order. I think it's being talked about as that.
Okay.
But there are some side characters that have been announced for it.
Okay.
We don't even really know about what's coming. In the original expanded universe, the new Jedi Order was a series of books about the Yuuzhan Vong, which are these extragalactic invaders.
Okay.
Which, if you're going to do it within the main continuity now, like Ahsoka was your opportunity.
Yeah.
So they didn't do that, but it could be in the movie. Yuuzhan Vong, I have no idea. But what was announced recently was AP5, the inventory droid from Rebels.
Okay.
It's going to be in the new Jedi Order movie.
Okay.
Which is super cool to think that he has survived that long.
Yeah.
I like he's just so sad. Like he really hates everyone and he keeps getting tagged along. So, I mean, with a character like Rey, who is pretty blank, that is the kindest way I can describe her. Like, there's not much going on in terms of characterization, in terms of, like, who am I? That's about as profound as she gets, really, you know?
I like to think there's a little bit of after episode 9, there's kinds of, like, I'm gonna use this word, and I don't know if it really fits, but like, she's stained in a way. You know, she's like experienced the dark side a little bit, and she's light side, but like, there's a tiny bit of darkness in her.
I mean, yeah, she had to go through the type of struggles that other Jedi would have. Mm-hmm. She goes through the things that Luke would have. You know? So yeah, there is some degree of characterization. I really can't stand her. But anyway, perhaps the character of AP5 being introduced will actually give her someone to talk to.
Maybe.
I like to think that they'll be on the same side.
Yeah.
But a droid can live a very, very long time.
Yeah.
So that's that. The second character, and this one I'm even more excited about, is Kukruk.
Okay.
He is I'm trying to think, what is his species name? I'm going to show you a picture right here. A Withid is what it is.
What is it?
A Withid. WHIPHID.
Okay. Interesting.
So I don't know if he is even in the current continuity. He may have only been pulled from Legends.
Okay.
And is a very old character. Like, he is at least as old as 20 at the time of Phantom Menace.
Oh, okay.
And then in a comic set, like in the... Okay, this is something that maybe not all our viewers will get, so I'll just explain. They have the sort of like their marker of what sits on what side of the calendar. The Battle of Yavin, so the original Star Wars movie with the blow up the Death Star. That's kind of where they sync all their calendar around. Whereas with us, in the Gregorian calendar, we have the birth of Jesus.
Right.
So, Revenge of the Sith is like 19 years BBY.
Okay.
Return of the Jedi is like 4 ABY is what it is. The comic is set like 137 ABY.
Oh, wow.
So this guy is like, he's living like at least 150 years.
Sure.
So it seems like they're resurrecting him from Legends to be brought into this new Jedi Order movie.
Okay.
With a lot of the blowback from classic Star Wars fans, it seems like they're trying to rope them in.
Okay.
With these two new side characters of AP5 and Kukruk.
Yeah.
So, he's a cool Jedi Master with a super cool hat.
Okay.
Yeah, it's actually not shown in this picture at all. But, yep, all these pictures I'm looking at, he's got no hat. Cool. So I'm just going to let people look that up. Oh, there's one right there. Yeah, he's got a hat. So it's spelled K apostrophe K RUHK.
Okay.
That's what that is. So
very cool.
I don't know, man.
That's gonna be interesting.
It is gonna be interesting.
That's really exciting. I wonder. I just don't know where it's gonna go. Yeah. Can I tell you a rumor I've heard?
Please go ahead.
This is not confirmed. Jar Jar is alive. Like after all this time, he's alive.
I think we hear him in Return of the Jedi. In one of the edits. Sorry.
Really?
Go ahead with your thought.
Where? What? Okay.
Yeah.
That's something I want to hear more about because I don't know about that. But no, I've heard that the him being like a Sith Lord is actually there's actually they're going that direction with that character.
I don't know about that, man.
I don't know.
That sure sounds like a rumor.
It sounds like a rumor. But I mean, if we're pulling stuff out of Legends now, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well,
he could be the big bad of this new Jedi Order movie. Think about it, that final battle. Rey versus Jar Jar Binks.
He's got the
Darth Binks.
He's got the jumping capability.
Absolutely.
He's got that, and he's got the tongue.
Yeah.
I don't know what he does with that in a battle, other than get it cut off.
Maybe. I don't know.
But, so in one of the later edits to the original trilogy,
okay,
as they're showing the Empire falling, you see these shots from different planets.
Yes.
And on Naboo, you hear in the background, "We are free." So
I do. Yes. Okay. I never thought that was Jar Jar.
Okay.
But yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
I don't know that it is confirmed.
Okay.
but it sure could.
It's just no one ever says what happened to him after the fall of the Republic.
Yeah.
I assume he just once. I assume that he was, Emperor Palpatine's secret apprentice for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I assume Darth
With all
Vader
the
didn't know
stuff that
about
he
it.
did that directly helped Palpatine.
Yeah, seriously. Dello Feligits.
Yep.
We should give all emergency powers to the Chancellor.
Yeah.
That's what he did. I don't know. Anything else about this new movie?
No.
That's cool.
Yep.
Is John Williams going to do the music? Do you know?
I don't know. I kind of doubt it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's announced many times.
He's
that
like, all
just
right,
kinda
this
done.
is it.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah.
I'm finally getting out the bathrobe and slippers
Yeah.
and never putting them back up. But
Yeah.
is that what retirement's like?
I hope.
That kind of sounds nice. I don't think it is.
No.
But I kind of want that to be my professional life as well. That's just how I work.
Yeah. I bet a lot of people work from home like that.
Yeah.
That'd be nice. Very cool. I have a news article.
What's your news article?
Oops. Let me switch my little phone here. Okay. Excuse me. This is from Screen Rant. The headline is Star Wars The Bad Batch Season 3 is the end of George Lucas's legacy. Says Star. Which star are we talking about? I'll get there. Let me preface this by saying I've never watched Bad Batch. After I watched Season 7 of The Clone Wars, I was just kind of like, all right, I'm done. It felt complete. It felt like I didn't need to continue.
I finally finished it.
Yeah, I finished. And then they were just like, no, there's 3 more seasons.
Yeah.
And so I haven't watched any of the Bad Batch. Everyone says it's great. I've heard it's wonderful. But this is the article now. Basically, here are the little bullet points of it. This is kind of the end of Lucas's legacy in his involvement directly in Star Wars storytelling.
Okay.
This show's connections to Lucas are stronger than other Disney properties because essentially Lucas created these characters a long time ago. He made up the whole what's the word? Malfunctioning or mutated kind of batch of clones.
Okay.
That were special forces essentially because they were so different from everyone else. He came up with that years ago while Clone Wars was still running under him.
That's cool.
Yeah, very cool. Excuse me. The person who is saying this to Screen Rant is actually D. Bradley Baker, who is the voice of all the clones.
Yep.
So
That's a hardworking man.
absolutely, my gosh, he has to make every clone just a tiny bit different, and still maintain that kind of Tamira Morrison vibe, you know.
Yeah.
This is what he says. This is a quote. The Bad Batch actually tracks back to the original idea that George Lucas came up with because this is sort of the end of George Lucas's legacy, The Bad Batch. He came up with that idea, and it was part of the original Clone Wars series that he made with Dave Filoni. The dynamic that he and the writers came up with was very clear, so that they feel so different. Excuse me, that's a little weird. So that they feel so different, that was actually easier for me than keeping the clones distinct because they all feel like such different people to me. So like he voices like, I guess, all the Bad Batch people as well. I don't know. Maybe there's different actors for that, but D. Bradley Baker, he's saying essentially like the idea of this was brought up a long time ago, and season 3, the last season of the Bad Batch, is kind of the nail in Star Wars' George Lucas legacy coffin. You know, but I just find that really interesting that this is a concept that Lucas, directly had, and Disney didn't really come up with anything concerning,
Well, it has characters in it, and I've also not seen this at all, but it has characters in it from Lucas's run as well. So
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. I do want to say that I love everything that Dave Filoni has done with Star Wars. So like whenever he started with the Clone Wars movie and then the show, you know, Filoni has seemed to just understand the spirit of Star Wars and what Lucas would have done with it. And I think he's done a really good job at continuing to steward that well, you know. And so even though that season 3, you know, is the last season of The Bad Batch, the end of this article says season 3 remains one of the most anticipated projects of recent memory. So after reading this article, I decided I'm going to watch The Bad Batch.
Okay.
Because it seems like if this is George Lucas's baby, I want to hold the baby.
You hold that baby?
I want to hold the baby. A lot of baby metaphors today.
I will guarantee you it'll be different than Andor.
Good. Good. Goodness gracious, good. Very cool. That's all I got for that. Just a really kind of cool send-off for the show, you know?
Yeah. Jenna and I have been meaning to start it, but like the first episode's like an hour and 20 minutes.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
So it's taken us a while to get to.
Yeah.
But yeah. I'm curious about it. I'm curious about it because of characters I've heard who appeared. I'm like, how's that going to work?
Mm-hmm.
Huh. That sort of thing.
Cool.
Yep.
I have no knowledge of anything, so can't wait to watch
You're
it.
in a perfect place.
Shall we move on to the new things that we've...
The news?
Yeah, the news.
The and news?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Do you want to go first?
I'll talk. Yeah.
Go for it.
I have at least 3.
Okay.
Where the Crawdads Sing?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that.
You saw it?
I've seen it.
We get to talk about it now.
Let's talk about it.
Okay. I was a little disappointed. I didn't hear any crawdads singing.
You're like, this is not a documentary.
Yeah.
This is not what I signed up for.
And they didn't clearly delineate, this is where it actually happens, even though we're not going to, you know, we're not going to play the song of the crawdad.
Yeah.
We're not going to show where it is. And I don't think they detailed it. Very confusing title.
Yeah.
But that's okay. That was a cool movie.
Yeah, it was enjoyable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked it. I think I would recommend other people watch it. But that ending, heck yeah.
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 Yeah. Not my favorite.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Wasn't a bad movie. Just not my style.
Mm-hmm.
Not my go-to. But overall, well-made movie. Interesting story.
Mm-hmm.
You know. That's about all I got on that movie.
I think I like it more than Devil Wears Prada.
I think I like The Devil Wears Prada more than this movie.
Okay.
Is this our bar that we're just gonna set now?
Well, it's either below or above that.
So, Devil Wears Prada has become the official, like, this is our middle ground.
It's the most average movie ever made. No, it's got Stanley Tucci in it. Tucci.
And Meryl Streep.
It's got Meryl Streep. It's got Anne Hathaway.
Meryl Streep and Stanley
really
Tucci
good
are the
actors in
same
it,
person, just male and female.
Yeah. No,
They're chameleons.
Yeah.
They disappear.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, very good. What else do you got over there?
Jenna and I have started All the Light We Cannot See.
All the Light We Cannot See. Why do I know that title?
Yeah.
What is that from?
I'll tell you.
Okay.
I'll tell you another thing first.
Okay, go for it.
Both this and Where the Crawdads Sing, where it's just kind of that thing where Jenna said, I think you'll like this. And she was right.
Mm-hmm.
We've kind of gotten to the point where it's like, we want to show the other person things, so we'll essentially have like a trading system of like, okay, honey, I really want you to watch Kong Skull Island, like a lot. I think you might like it. And she got through it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was harder for her,
sure.
you know. And then I'll watch something else in return, you know. And yeah, I think Yeah, these are just ones that I didn't feel a need to trade for, I don't think. So,
Gotcha.
anyway, both of them are sort of like these historical dramas. All the Light We Cannot See is additionally adapted from a book, and is this one is set in World War II.
Okay.
It is about a young blind woman doing radio broadcasts
Gotcha.
in war-torn France.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
The French people have British accents. Except when they don't. And it kind of seems like, what's happening here? Like, are you trying French, British, German? What's going on here? I'm just going to let whoever you are in the world, you know who you are. Okay?
And you're welcome on this podcast. Very fun.
Yeah, it's sort of like it's a production choice. It's definitely a creative choice, but it feels more like, well, we got to figure out how do we make this movie rather than how do we stylize it. I would prefer, why not just, they're about French people, have French accents. Especially when the Germans have German accents. So, that's kind of odd. But that's like, it's just so common. Like, you set movies in first century Jerusalem, they're probably going to have English accents. It's just probably going to happen. So.
British people can do accents better than American people can.
British people can do, like, just any type of accent,
I
you're
think
saying?
so. Yeah, I think
I
so.
heard I think the lead in Where the Crawdads Sing is British.
Really?
I think so. She has a very good Southern accent.
Should we look that up?
Sure.
Can you look that up?
Yeah.
Another notable actor who does an amazing American accent. Tom Holland. The fact that he can switch from British to, American in an instant. Just turn it on and off. I saw this one video where, like, he and Zendaya and the guy who plays Ned, they were all doing, like, a press thing or something, and they were taking, like, phone calls. And it was, like, a dad and his son, and the son, like, started referring to Tom as Spider-Man, not understanding that he's an actor.
Yeah.
And so, like, Tom started talking British initially, and then realized the boy was referring to him as, like, Peter or, like, Spider-Man, and then switched into his American accent just to humor the boy.
Oh.
It was very sweet.
That's heartwarming.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Daisy Edgar Jones.
Is she British?
She's British.
We should play this game again. Are they British? Yes. She's from London,
I think
England.
we're 1 for 1 on this one.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, that's really impressive because that didn't come out at all, like her British accent.
No, she's a good actress. Also has. Well, maybe we should go back to talking about All the Light We Cannot See. It has Hugh Laurie in it.
Hugh Laurie?
Dr. House.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And the little bit.
Didn't know that he was British until I saw him in a different movie other than House.
Yeah.
Different thing.
We've only seen the first episode, but he's good in that one episode of All the Light We Cannot See.
Oh, it's a show.
Pardon me. Yeah.
I was under the impression it was a movie.
We call it a TV series.
Okay.
But
they're hour-long episodes. They're half movies.
Yeah, I just feel weird calling it that now.
Sure.
Because, we're typically watching them on TV.
Yeah.
But I watch movies on
TV.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all blending together.
And there's no
up to
there's
the Snyder
no
Cut.
quote unquote television channel
Yeah.
of which I'm watching this on. It's all a web service anyway.
Yeah.
So how is this not a web series?
It's made by a production house, okay?
It's like right next to Game Changer, So like,
honestly.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a web series.
Yeah.
Oh.
Interesting. Very cool.
It's pretty cool. I'm liking it so far. That first episode, I'm like, oh, nice. It's pretty cool. The other thing we have is season 12 of Murdoch Mysteries. We finally finished that.
Very good.
Yeah. And I realize every time I bring this up, I'm taking a gamble.
What?
Because someone in the world will say, "Have you gotten to yet?"
Yeah.
And that almost happened to me, like at a Christmas party. We were talking about it. This other person has seen Murdoch, and it's like, we stopped at the point that, and I just go, and I just cut her off, you know, and crisis averted.
Yeah.
But I don't want to know. This is really dangerous for me.
Yeah.
To be on a movie podcast talking about movies.
Yeah. Yeah. We had a similar moment not too long ago where me, you, and Liz were sitting and we were discussing how we were like where we were at in Game of Thrones, and you were like, "Oh, I've read the books," and then we just started trading of like, "Well, did this happen yet?"
Mm-hmm.
And then you were like, "I don't remember. Did this happen yet?" And we're like, "No." What?
Yeah, it's dangerous.
Which I'm not so. I don't care as much about spoilers. I do care. If you're going to tell me the ending of the movie, Thomas, I'm looking at you. If you're going to tell me the ending of a movie, don't tell me the ending of the movie.
Yeah.
But if it's just something like, oh, did this character do this yet? And if it stops there, you know, that's probably fine. Unless they're killing an important character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know, I'm fine with that kind of like minimal amount of spoiler of like, did this happen yet? And I'm kind of like, no. And they're like, all right. That's all.
Yeah. That is a point in your life in which you just kind of like relinquish control, and I have not been able to.
I understand.
Yeah. So, hats off to you on that. So, those are my news outside of technically Star Wars, The Clone Wars, episode 7, season 7. We finished that, but I don't think we talked about it last. News and
You
news.
finished season 7 of Star Wars, Clone Wars.
Yeah. I
It's
don't
a
think we talked
wonderful
about it
season.
last. News and news.
It's so great. I love that they, like at the end of spoilers for season 7 of Clone Wars. I love that they just didn't even focus on Anakin and Obi-Wan. They just left at some point, and then it was all Ahsoka.
Mm-hmm.
It was beautiful, and her going up against Maul. I love that they tied that like
That was pretty
thread
cool.
of Maul had taken over Mandalore, and he was just in charge.
Yeah.
I think that's so great. That's such a great. No one talks about Maul enough. It kind of ends at like, oh yeah, Obi-Wan chopped him in half the first movie because that's the final thing we see of him essentially, and then he comes back in Clone Wars. He gets new legs. Like he's a mechanical spider at first, and then he gets brand new legs, and then he like a phoenix rising from the ashes, conquers an entire planet single-handedly. What?
It's pretty cool.
It's insane.
He's a neat character.
He's a great character. Granted, I haven't seen Rebels. I know he.
You not seen Rebels?
I've not the good parts.
Oh,
I've
interesting.
seen like season 1 and 2, maybe parts of 2,
Okay.
and it's just kind of. I'm getting to the really interesting parts of it.
Yeah. Well, good. Still over like Rebels more.
Mm-hmm.
I do. I feel like I got to the end of Clone Wars, and it was just so good.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt a little sad. Like
It's over.
I felt more of, couldn't you have tried harder earlier? Like they put so much, and I wonder how much of this is budget, because it looks incredible.
Yeah.
So I get that.
Yeah.
You have larger budgets towards the end because your show just kind of picks up inertia.
You're mana ramping on Magic the Gathering. That's what you're doing.
Mana ramping.
Mana ramping.
Okay.
Or ramping, just in general.
The way in which the character interacted was far more interesting than your average Clone Wars episode.
Mm-hmm.
It just seemed like they tried
Yeah.
more here.
I think they realized, like, oh, we got to end the story.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, well, we did a lot of meandering in here in the past 6 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Let's all tie these up real nice in a bow.
Yeah. I'm wondering how much of it's due to the fact that, well, they got to appear in this other stuff. So, we can't have them change too much.
Right.
Whereas Rebels, at least at the time, it was like, we'll just do whatever we want.
Yeah.
And I think that is maybe, I guess, like the biggest reason for our success. But Yeah, I think I just overall was just so impressed with Rebels, and I've seen all of Clone Wars, and so much of it's just passable.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
like, yeah,
There are true, like, you could make a playlist on YouTube of all the episodes that are important, and it would be a third, maybe half the size of Clone Wars.
I think you
know?
like it more than I do. See, I call myself a Star Wars fan. We naturally talk about Star Wars. We've done it in this podcast, even when it was
It's
not the
just
topic. It
meandered over to
comes
it.
comes up. But the majority of Star Wars, for me, I don't know. Yeah.
I also will have to say this, like, saying half or a third is, like, probably generous just because I haven't watched Clone Wars in forever. I will say, back when Clone Wars Season 7 came out, it was COVID time, so I just had a lot more time on my hands, so I just kind of put it on in the background and just let it play all day.
Yeah.
And so I watched it, but it wasn't, like, sat there and experienced it all. It was
Okay.
So, like, a lot of it is not important. A lot of it is flavor of the week, of how's the Republic gonna survive this one, that kind of stuff. Which, I mean, it's fun because you do it builds out the lore, but it's yeah, you're right, it's passable. It's just like you can skip it, catch it in a recap, and that have enough information for it. I'm always impressed by people who do recaps at the beginning of shows because they're just like, here are the most important parts. And then you realize, oh, that recap was a minute long.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched an hour-long show, and I could just watch the minute-long recap? I kind of just want to string all of Game of Thrones recaps together and just see how many minutes it truly is and see if I can actually understand the story. That'd be kind of an interesting experience. Anyway, point being, yes, Star Wars is great. A lot of Star Wars and Clone Wars is skippable.
Mm-hmm.
Season 7 is fantastic, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what I got in my news.
Before I go to my news, Thomas, in our live chat, he says, tell the everyone dies story. Going back to Rogue One, before I go to my news, speaking of Thomas giving spoilers, Thomas, whenever me, Caleb, and Thomas, maybe someone else went with us to go see Rogue One, Thomas did this thing for a while where he would, at the beginning of a movie, be like, guys, spoiler, everyone dies. We know nothing of Rogue One at this point, right? We just walk into the movie, goes, guys, spoiler, everyone dies at the end. And then we're watching the movie, and it's going, and it's a great movie. We're really enjoying it. And then it's getting closer to the end, and we're just starting to think, like,
How are they going to wrap this up?
how are they going to get out of this?
Yeah.
Oh, that character's gone.
Yep.
That character's gone.
Yeah.
And then we
kept
just,
following.
at about the second or third character, we just, like, looked over at Thomas, and we're like, what did you do? And it was just a really funny moment of Thomas was completely right and
Was it
totally joking.
Oh, so it was just like, it was a complete, he did
He
not
was
know.
messing around, and just at the end of it, we just all looked at him like, what?
That's impressive.
It was really funny.
Yeah.
It was a really funny moment where the Death Star shoots Edu, or not Edu, Scarif,
Okay.
blows it up, and we see Jin and Andor die, and we're just sitting there like, everyone died. And so Thomas consistently spoils movies, even accidentally. It's really funny. My news is going to be short.
And then we have another thing
Oh, yeah. What?
about the
Another thing?
music.
We do! Thank you for the reminder.
Yeah.
So this is my news. I have one thing, really. Sure, I've been going through Game of Thrones and whatnot, but, it's been out for a while. It's been a fun ride. I will say that. Incredibly fun story. My news, I watched Argyle.
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 Tell me about Argyle.
So it's from the same director, Matthew Vaughn. He has Kingsman. And the premise is this writer has been predicting the future in her spy novels. Everything she's written has come to pass. And now these different factions are trying to get her so she can finish the next book so they can do it, you know, that kind of thing. Boy howdy, this movie's a trip. It is so much fun. And if you like Kingsman, I think this is kind of, there are parts of it that are like the extreme end of Matthew Vaughn's kind of silly comedy, like extreme. You know, have you seen Kingsman? Have you seen Kingsman?
Seen the first one?
Okay, the church scene, how violent
That's
and
very violent.
extreme that is.
Yeah.
He just kind of ramps that up, not in terms of violence, but in silliness, and it still works. It's just so funny. The end of the movie, of the first Kingsman movie, when everyone's heads explode into puffs of colored smoke. Do you remember that?
No, I've forgotten about that. But I definitely remember the church scene a lot.
So, the puffs of colored smoke, the end of Kingsman 1 is ridiculous and hilarious and extreme. And so he takes those three elements and puts them into this movie, and by the end of the movie, I'm just sitting there like, well, that was certainly a Matthew Vaughn movie, and that was certainly enjoyable. I really loved it. I thought it was great. Matthew Vaughn does this thing of like taking typical TV tropes or like twists and using all of them. And so like right when you think you've got its number, he twists, and it's a totally different thing. And so it was incredibly fun to not know what's going on and be like twisted and turned each different way many times in that movie. It was a lot of fun. Really enjoyable. And do you want a spoiler? Are you gonna see this movie? Do you want?
I'm mildly interested now, so maybe not.
All right, then I'm not gonna say anything else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you should watch the other Kingsman movies too. I enjoyed them. I think
I know some of them go back into the past. I'm kind of curious about those.
Kingsman, The King's Man.
Yeah.
That was a fun one. I really enjoyed that period piece.
Set in World War One.
World War One. There's
Yeah,
not
see,
enough World War One
When you
movies.
start bringing in World War One, Alex's interest like dramatically raises.
Absolutely. Kyler's as well.
Yeah.
World War One isn't talked about enough in America. So, and rightfully so, that movie is British. The King's Man is, well, heck, all the Kingsman movies are set in Britain. So
Okay.
it just makes sense that World War One is the setting. It's just more important to them. Anyway, that's that. Let's go on to our final little thing. It's not really a segment. It's just something I want to talk about. And it's about movie music. So, can I begin? Is this
Please
all right?
go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this the other day. I was listening to some movie music. I have a Disney playlist on my phone that I just listen to Disney music sometimes. And one song stuck out to me in particular. I'll get to it in a second. But I want to start by saying the Disney remakes, the live-action remakes,
Mm-hmm.
they've not been great. They've been passable. Yeah, for the most part. Do you agree?
I haven't seen most of them.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna say they're passable. So I think that when it comes to the remakes, Disney's done a good job at sticking to the story. You know, not changing a whole bunch, but they're never as good as the original. They're always kind of just like,
Based on my experience with The Little Mermaid, sure, I'd agree.
okay, yeah, that's actually really good.
Yeah.
A really good thermometer for this. It's not a ton different. They might add in a new song.
Mm-hmm.
They might add a new character, but it's not incredibly meaningfully different.
Mm-hmm.
There are there are a few minute exceptions. I think that Mulan was by far the best remake of all of them because it was an incredibly different story altogether. It was not a remake. It was more of an anthology kind of situation where it was just like, same name, different story.
Okay.
Generally same idea of the movie, but altogether changed everything. That instead of, there was no music, there was no Mushu, they turned the cricket into a person, like a character, and then there was a witch, which was crazy. So like totally different story altogether. Very enjoyable. I like that movie a lot. I think concerning Aladdin, you know, it's the animated one's better, but I think Will Smith, I think everyone who's done an iteration of the genie has done well. No one can top Robin Williams, which is the original.
Yeah.
But like stage show, like the Broadway play, the guy who plays the genie does his own version. It's fantastic. Will Smith did it differently enough, and the movie changed his story enough to where I thought it was incredibly interesting. I think he did a fine job. The one thing I really commend Disney for doing in these movies is making the men have songs. There's been 2 movies where that's happened. Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast. Those movies have previously not have had songs for the male characters, the male leads, Eric and the Beast. And I absolutely adore both of those songs. There's not, like men, when it comes to like emotions, we're just like, love you, dude.
That's the stereotype.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very much so. And so like the fact that Disney shows 2 male characters in vulnerable positions, but they're not like weak. It's a very like, it's romancing their woman in a manner, like that's the vibe that we're getting from the 2 songs. I think like they're searching for this woman and they're putting their heart out on the line for them.
Yeah, it's shifting from a more quote unquote like children's story to a general musical.
Yeah,
because that's what happens in musicals.
Yes,
men sing.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
and it's typically like when men sing, it's vulnerable and almost like, for me, like weirdly uncomfortable, just because it is vulnerable. It's a part of.
Yeah, as long as the song is not. I mean, I think the biggest exceptions are like boasting songs or
Be a Man from Mulan. Be a man.
Yeah. I was thinking like even the genie singing You Never Have a Friend Like Me.
Yeah.
So, or
Prince Ali.
I was thinking also like Gaston. But he doesn't sing that much in it.
Sure.
but yes.
Those are very masculine songs.
Yeah,
of
they're
like,
very rugged. But you're correct, though. Typically, having a guy be vulnerable in song is not typically explored in highly popular media.
Correct. And so I think that Disney has done a fantastic job with both of Eric's songs and the Beast songs to make them vulnerable, to show that they've changed or there is a change going on. Specifically, I love the Beast song Evermore. Oh my gosh, it's the whole, like, in the original movie, you see the Beast change, like you see his demeanor soften, but like in this remake, the song that he sings is the whole pivot point for him, which is so cool because he sings this incredibly vulnerable song of like that. And if you haven't listened to the song Evermore, you definitely should. It is beautifully orchestrated, and it's his whole turning point in the movie where he realizes like, I'm in love with this woman, and she has to leave, and the only way she's ever gonna love me is if I let her. And I selflessly and unfortunately stay a beast forever. And like, he's finally learned his lesson, and he realizes it's too late, and he kind of is like giving up hope in this song, but realizing like he himself has changed for the better, and he's almost becoming content with that in this song, and it is so incredibly beautiful. I want more of this music. It was so great. Like the opening line describes like him being foolish and not realizing, how he needed to act and behave, and that he realized it too, like he learned his lesson too late, and then he met this girl and she's turned him on his head, and now she has to leave, and I've learned my lesson, and I'm gonna be like this forever, and that's okay. Hope she comes back, but I'm gonna be waiting here forever for her.
Interesting.
And it's a beautiful, beautiful song.
I was just thinking about his relationship with women tends to be pretty extreme.
Yeah.
Because we really only know of him interacting in a meaningful way with two humans.
Mm-hmm.
Belle and the Enchantress.
Right.
And both of them completely change his life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is that your song?
That's my song.
Evermore?
Evermore.
Okay. I have high hopes it will be better than the auto-tuning in other songs in that movie. I can't tell you what actresses or actors are in those, but I just know, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, they're auto-tuned. But good old Dan Stevens.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
What you got?
This is from way back. I do not know how to pronounce the name of this song.
Okay.
Because the name of the title is in German. Komm susser Tod.
Okay.
That's the best I understand. I do not know how to pronounce a umlaut, but it means in German, in English, it's come sweet death. Okay.
Come sweet death?
Yes.
That's funny.
So this is a...
Oh, I see it now. Sorry, Komm susser Tod.
Yeah, Tod, death.
So in Indiana Jones, the first one, the German man that's dressed in all black the whole time, and then his face melts off at the end, his name is Mr. Tote.
Mr. Death.
Mr. Death.
Okay.
Sorry.
This is from the last part of the theatrical movie conclusion to the original TV series Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Okay.
So, back in either late junior high, probably more likely early high school, there's an anime called Neon Genesis Evangelion, which is it's way out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's this, probably call it like high postmodern science fiction.
Okay.
It's bizarre and interesting, incredibly violent, and controversial about how the tone shifts.
Sure.
I'm unclear if I've heard that the creators started taking antidepressants during the production of the show, so it shifted, but they also started running out of money.
Mm-hmm.
So the last bits are like these like flashes of images while characters doing voiceovers as incredibly big things are happening, we'll say, And that was really the way they could afford to produce this. Whenever that show got big, they were able to say, we could probably actually redo these last few episodes as a theatrical movie. So they released the end of Evangelion.
Okay, so the name sounded familiar.
Yeah.
And so, okay, now I understand.
Yeah. So I saw the end of Evangelion probably shortly after because... Well, yeah, just the timing of things. I think the movie probably came out in 97 or so, whereas the original TV series was like 95 or so, but I was by the time I was in high school and getting into this, it was all new to me. It was all available. Anyway, the ending of the end of Evangelion has this song, Komm susser Tod, and it's sung in English, and it's lovely. It is lovely. And I don't know how much I should say about what is occurring on screen, but it sure is cool, and it is wild. Definitely not G-rated. Definitely not, and highly bizarre. But it's a good song.
Well, I'm looking it up right now.
Okay.
And I'm just going to have it here
Okay.
so I can listen to it later.
Yeah. 7 minutes, 47 seconds. Sung by the African-born British singer Ariane. So, original lyrics were written by the creator Hideaki Anno, and later adapted into English. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
you had asked me about what do we do about movie music, and I wanted to find something of which is highly tied to the media and original, I guess, presentation.
Mm-hmm.
So this is interwoven.
Yeah.
Whereas, I mean, I could have picked, like, actually the very first song I thought of was like a song from Russell Crowe's Gladiator. It's a great
Okay.
song,
Yeah.
but it can kind of fit in just about anything.
Gotcha.
Whereas Kom Sussertad barely even fits in the thing
Yeah.
it's presented in. So
Yeah.
I think I wanted to go with that.
I understand.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's fun.
Yeah.
Awesome. I don't have anything else to talk about.
Okay.
What do you mean?
I think this was news and news.
Hey, this was news and news, guys. Guys, thanks for watching. And listeners, thanks for listening.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to do more of this. I can't wait to live stream this more.
Yeah,
This is exciting.
I think it went pretty well.
I think it went well. Those who are viewing us online, did it go well? What do you think of Kom Sussertad and Evermore? Tell us what you think about Andor and Argyle
Mm-hmm.
and all the Star Wars stuff we talked about. Yeah,
Bad
Joker.
Batch, New Jedi Order, all that stuff.
absolutely. New Jedi Order.
Yep.
Cannot wait for the new Jedi Order movie
Yeah.
with K'Krook
Crook.
and Jar Jar Binks as Darth Binks.
Well, that's not confirmed.
Oh,
But yeah,
You're-
AP5.
sure,
Yeah.
AP5.
Yeah.
All right, very good. Well, I think this is it. We're signing off.
Yep.
Guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And you will hear us and see us next time. All right, bye, y'all.
Bye.